Hello, podcast listeners. We know podcasts are a great way to catch up on a program that you may have missed on KSJE, and it's provided as a free service of this radio station. But you know, KSJE is now listener-supported, and so while you enjoy this podcast, we hope that you'll also take some time to join KSJE. Become a member today. It's quite easy to do. Just go to our website at ksje.com/support and pick the level of support that best matches your budget. Thanks again for listening. Here's your podcast. 10 minutes past 8 o'clock. It is Thursday morning, the 12th day of the 12th month of 2024. Good morning, everyone. I'm Scott Michlin, and thank you for tuning in to KSJE, 90.9 FM over the air right here in San Juan County, New Mexico. In Durango, Colorado, we broadcast, as you hopefully know by now, at 103.3 FM. And if you're listening from anywhere else on the planet, you've just gone to our website to do that. We're streaming all the time, ksje.com. Welcome also to our viewers who are joining us this morning. The video of this program is streaming out live to the KSJE Facebook page and also to our YouTube channel. So welcome aboard. So glad that you are with us, broadcasting from the campus of San Juan College. Coming up, we're getting an update on economic development activities here in the area for the month of December. My guest this morning will be Tim Gibbs from Four Corners Economic Development. We'll be talking about some of the EDGE Award winners as well. So stay tuned for that coming up in the next few moments right here on KSJE today. Then later on this morning, we'll be talking with representatives from Sasha's Rainbow of Hope. The organization does a lot of work here in the community, and they're putting on an event this Sunday that combines comedy and mental health awareness, and there's more to talk to about that. So join us for that at 8:50 a.m. right here on KSJE today. Don't forget, Nick Hess will take us roving with the arts, our weekday classical music program beginning after the news at 9:06. And, of course, we also invite you to check out our KSJE On the Road programs. We had a busy week last week, lots of holiday events. If you missed it, you can check it out online. Go to our Facebook page or our YouTube channel. Check out the Mayor's Story Reading and Tree Lighting Ceremony from the Festival of Trees last week, the Farmington Christmas Parade, which was great. You can watch that on our Facebook and YouTube channels as well. And you can also check out, of course, the San Juan College Luminaria display. Another great evening of a gift to the community from San Juan College. So they're all right there, part of KSJE On the Road. Outside our studios this morning at San Juan College, it is a partly cloudy morning, 20 degrees at the moment, and we're expecting a mostly cloudy day today with a high of only 45 in Farmington. Cloudy overnight tonight, the low 27, so not quite as cold as it is right now. Tomorrow, partly cloudy with a high of 44 on Friday. More sunshine and 44 degrees on Saturday. Partly sunny on Sunday, reaching 49 degrees. Sunshine and 44 degrees by next Monday, with overnight lows, as you can see, right around 25 degrees. Back with my guest right after this on KSJE. KSJE is supported by San Juan Regional Medical Center, whose vision is to deliver world-class care, making life better for the communities they are privileged to serve. Offering a comprehensive range of inpatient, outpatient, and emergency care services so residents can live life better here. San Juan Regional Medical Center, community-owned and operated, here for you. Joining me here in Studio A, as I mentioned, back for his regular visit with me, which I'm so grateful for, Tim Gibbs is here, the Executive Director of Four Corners Economic Development. Good morning.
Hi there.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Here we are in December.
That's right. It's cold.
It is cold. That's true. But you were telling me just a year ago, this was about the time that you were out here interviewing for this job that you now have.
It was.
How about that?
We were trying to squeeze it in before for Christmas. And I remember coming out. It was a cold, windy, blistery a day that I was here about a year ago.
Okay. Cool. What a difference, right, as you look back on the last 12 months, I think.
It's actually went the way I hoped it would.
Okay.
So my introduction to Farmington, San Juan County, northwestern New Mexico, is not complete, but it's been a very good experience.
Good. You're still learning some things about the community?
I
think
am.
even I'm still learning things about the community,
Yes.
and I've been here forever, so there's that.
And there's the power of diversity here as well. There's so many things and so many cultural components to learn and to be respectful of that I think that when you add it all together, it makes for a very dynamic interaction with the community and the people.
Right. Very cool. Well, let's talk about a few things that have been happening recently. Most recently, at least in my thinking, the Edge Awards. You were so gracious to include me in being able to MC that event and honor several local businesses who all have a hand in the economic growth of the community, which I always think is really interesting.
There's so many stories to tell about our local entrepreneurs and about businesses and their success. I mean, we honored from a mobile mechanic that specializes on anything from a Ford to a Chevrolet to a BMW that will come to your site, give you a great interpretation of what you have, how to go forward, what it would cost you, what your options are, to a company that started off doing plumbing, and then they went to fire control, then they went to range hoods, and now they're actually going down to Carlsbad and doing the detection systems for a federal nuclear storage facility.
The WIP facility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, just the breadth of knowledge and that we have here, and the people that's got the burning in their belly because they say, I can do something, and I can do it better, I can do it different, I can employ people. And the amount of growth that these companies have had locally, playing family wage jobs, is significant. So I don't know if we can do enough in identifying these companies, highlighting these companies, and honoring these companies. And that's really what the Edge Award's all about.
Right.
Now this year we did a little different. We held it at the country club. We kind of made it more of a business social of sorts. Made it fun. And we got done on time. It didn't go an hour over. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you very much. We got 10 minutes. We got done 10 minutes before our scheduled time.
That's right.
So we highlighted some companies. We shared with the community what was going on, some of the good things in the community. And we sent them home early and happy.
There you go. Well, and the key thing, again, is that these companies, because people can look around and go, well, we've got plenty of companies in this area, but these companies are unique in that they are adding to the economic development of the area. They are bringing in money from outside the community, right, which helps to grow the economy, and that's what's, I guess, significant and unique about these particular nominees, right, and winners.
Well, we even honored the Boys and Girls Club of San Juan County. And I don't know that if the people realize that they have clubs outside of what they have in Farmington, but they also have in Aztec and Bloomfield as well, and they're in 6 schools.
Right.
So, and that's one of those things that breaks down any barriers that may be among students. You have all students there that are learning, that are playing, that are interacting together, all under the umbrella of leadership. And of your consequences of actions and positioning yourself for success in life under that. So the Boys and Girls Club, what they do for our communities and the families and the kids that are going to be our workers, not that long, is significant. So we had a broad brush of who we honored, who was nominated, and who won that night as well, that represents all of San Juan County.
Right. Right, very good. Well, let's run through them real quick so that we can give them a shout out here on the air, because I think that's important. The automotive mechanic you were talking about, that is Griffin Crankshaft, right?
It is. Yep, it is. And those guys, the services he provides are very, very broad, but they're also individualized, and you get a fair shake. You're going to know what you have, what it costs you, what your options are, and he's going to work with people individually. We got Melvit LLC, and they do compliance, safety, and technical services, among several other things. But, they got about 50 employees up there right outside Bloomfield now. And they're doing great work regionally, and really a high-growth engine for the area.
Nice.
You got MCR Trucking. 33 trucks, 15 employees. They specialize in hauling things like fertilizer and ammonia, cement, but they also do hazardous materials as well. Top knot fleet in high growth mode for lots of, and always looking for quality CDLs as well.
Nice. That's MRC Trucking, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. MRC Trucking. And then on the large, that was our small company category. On the large company, we actually have on-the-spot cleaning. Right. It does industrial, commercial, and residential. And just they just had a lot of growth because there's a need for services and for help people maximize their time, and they've done a great job. We mentioned the Boys and Girls Club,
Right.
Cooper Fire Protection. We mentioned
That's the
them as
fire
well.
protection folks, right? They're
Yeah.
working in Carlsbad. Great.
Yeah.
Great.
And then we have, how do you pronounce
ESCO. I
ESCO.
would say ESCO.
Okay, ESCO
Pipe and Supply.
Yeah, and they've got a very unique story as well. Certainly they have hardware stores, but they are one of the largest pipe supplier in all of Northwest New Mexico.
Right.
Whether it's irrigation or whether it's gas and oil, water supply, those type things, and they even sell supplies for putting in water lines and things. So they have a significant impact into your life, even if you don't know how it gets to you. If
Right.
they didn't have those products, you wouldn't have what you have today.
Very true. And the retail part of that I thought was really interesting,
Yeah.
of how they decided to maybe start with one hardware store, and then another opportunity presented itself, and they thought, well, maybe we'll expand, and then another one, and I
Yeah.
think they now have 3 stores, if I remember correctly.
I think so.
And that added buying power then helps them to have more things in all 3 of the stores, and that economy of scale, I guess, right?
Well, and yet they still want to be your small town hardware. They want you to walk in and someone say, how can I help you? What are you looking for?
Right.
I think I can help you. Is it a metric bolt? Is it a standard bolt?
Right.
Well, let's go find out.
Yeah.
Whatever it may be. So it was the scale of having the economy of scale of being able to buy things and sell them competitively, but the service that you're going to get in your small town as well.
Right. Very true. Very true. Recently, I think just within a week or so ago, you and the Chamber of Commerce joined forces to have a legislative breakfast. You had, I think, 3 members of the legislature, the New Mexico legislature, here to talk about kind of what's to come with the 60-day session in 2025. 1 member retiring, 2 members kind of brand new to the system, I guess, if you will. But how did that go, and what were some of the takeaways?
It's very interesting. I'm still seeing things for the first time. I've worked on legislative send-offs for 20-some years,
Sure.
but this is the first one in New Mexico.
And New Mexico's unique when it comes
is.
to politics.
And elections have consequences. They just do.
Either way they go, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
And whether you're playing offense for things that you want or defense to stop things that could have an impact to you,
Sure.
is incredibly important. And New Mexico's got a dichotomy of politics. And I'm being stereotypical between the urban and the rural areas.
True.
And
I think that's true.
So when we have a energy economy here, there's certainly going to be things that we have to do more than watch. We have to make sure our voices can be heard. So when we have these legislative send-offs and we get people in front of their legislators, they learn the process. They learn how to be active. They learn how to track and see what bills, because sometimes bills will be marked up the night before for a hearing in a committee.
Right.
And if you don't know and you're not watching, it can really affect your businesses or your community in ways both good or bad.
Sure. And I think it's true that committees have a lot of power at that level, because a bill could either advance or not. It could die in committee and it never gets anywhere, right?
We had 70 people up at School of Energy for this meeting. That was a very good, give or take, very interactive with the elected officials that were representing them. It was incredibly important. And along the way, we even talked a little bit, which outside the scope of the 60-day session, of what's going on in Washington. Because it feels, and I use the analogy, it feels like the tectonic plates are moving underneath of us. We don't know exactly how far they're going to move or whether there's going to be a rub, which could cause a disruption, but we know things are changing.
Right.
So, and
Well,
we're
I
going
think it's pardon me for interrupting, but I just think it's reasonable to say you've got a state government that is one party, majority, and now it looks like we have a federal government that in January will be of the different party, of the other party, and so how are those 2 levels of government going to work and affect us here on the ground?
Well, and it's even more so than you may think, because right now you have one political party, at least federally, that has both legislative and administrative, and so the first 2 years or before midterm elections are going to be really, really important, and probably the first 100 days as well. So you're going to have new people trying to be confirmed for their positions. You're going to have a new legislative agenda, and we're an energy community. So what's that mean for us? It means that change is coming. We don't know exactly all the way that it's going to happen, but we have to make sure that our voices are heard and that we can give input where we can. We can show opportunity where we can. and that we have a voice in the conversation. So things like that legislative send-off are incredibly important. We're going back to D.C. in February for a conference for a grant that we received, and we're going to spend a day or two there because there's going to be all new folks to see. And then we're going to go, of course, to meet with our elected officials and their staff members as well. But we just don't know what's coming right now.
Sure. Well, it's a little early, but
Yeah.
certainly. But the things that we do know, the political parties that will be in power in both Santa Fe and D.C., and the majorities, which in D.C. are fairly small.
Yeah.
Santa Fe, they're still pretty big, and that's what you got.
So, you know, so there's a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
And it may pivot and turn. Many times you're here at 9 o'clock at night, you need to be at Santa Fe next morning by 8.
True.
I don't know that we're going to be beckoned and that connected to D.C., but we certainly need representation as well.
Sure. And from the message you got from the delegation that was at the send-off, pretty positive about the communication, I guess, at least coming back to you and your office if you needed to be there or need to know about something heading into a committee?
It was both positive and negative. Not about the communication with us.
Okay.
Just we were looking at the things that's going to come up.
Okay.
You know, there's going to be...
And it's a 60-day session, so
yeah.
a lot of things could come up.
Family medical leave,
That's a big
medical
one.
malpractice, and
a big one.
retention and access to healthcare providers, minimum wage. These are all issues, and finding the sweet spot for these type things. San Juan Regional Hospital was there talking about the medical malpractice.
Right. That's a big deal.
It is. I mean, you know, it used to be that their coverage would cost X, and it would have a $25,000 deductible. Now it's got a $5 million deductible, and it's getting even more harder to find.
Right. So if I was a doctor wanting to set up my private practice or whatever and if I could go to New Mexico or a different state with different medical
Yeah.
malpractice limits, that would maybe impact my decision.
We're in probably the least competitive position, or at least the top 3 least competitive positions in the nation for that.
Right.
And we're short healthcare providers. We're short about 8,800 nurses here. We're short doctors here, and we need choices, and we need more access. But yet, these things like this can make it even harder.
Sure. Well, and that it concerns all of us, really, especially
Yeah.
folks like me. I'm not getting any younger, so it concerns me too, So
Yeah.
there's that. But that's important stuff to be aware of and to pay attention to.
That's right.
I would say so. And again, this is a 60-day session coming up in 2025 for the New Mexico State Legislature, so there'll be a lot of bills that are introduced. We'll see how many of those get through the process, but this is more than we usually get in a 30-day session, obviously.
Well, and our legislators said about 10% make
Get
it through
through.
the
Yeah,
system.
right.
And usually there is somewhere along 2,000 to 3,000 bills
Introduced.
that are
Yeah.
introduced. Now, many don't make it out of committee, of course, but you're still looking at a couple hundred bills that could potentially be
Yeah.
passed through the 60-day session.
Right. They earn their money.
Yeah.
And they're not paid, so there you go with that. That's another issue, but anyway. The other issue I wanted to ask you about is this announcement from San Juan College and you and the Enterprise Center about this new partnership, I guess, that's coming, right?
Well, we work together to try to offer everything we can for businesses. And there was an announcement, there was a press release that came out about a company
Yes.
called Sasquatch XC.
Right.
And they make trailers, but that doesn't do it justice. It is a leader in premium off-road trailers.
Okay.
These are fabulous off-road trailers. So if you have your
Camp trailers, right? Is that the term? Yeah.
Yes, and if you have your expedition, or if you have your Jeep and you want to take it up to wherever you want to take it, this is a trailer you can take. It's got
Okay.
independent suspension. These are fabulous. These are world-class trailers for off-road exploring.
Nice.
And they are now located in the Enterprise Center at San Juan College, and they've got 2 1,000-foot bays. They've hired 5 people, 5 local residents, and they're manufacturing out of here. And they're incubating out of here, and eventually they want to have their own building and their own workforce. And there's manufacturing some of the best trailers in the world for what they do.
Right.
And they're doing it here now from Farmington, New Mexico.
Now, this isn't and that's exciting. This isn't a new company, but they are expanding, and
Yeah.
they chose Farmington
Yeah.
and the Enterprise Center to do that with.
Yeah, because they needed, a big part of it was if you think about the metal fabrication that we have here and the things that go along with the gas and oil, and you think about powder coating and all the pieces and parts that we have to the economy we have here, they access a lot of those things. They need those services. Plus, they need the talent that comes out of this college. They need a feeder system of folks that know electrical, that know welding, that know assembly, and all those type things. So the college was a perfect fit because education and training works best when this equals that. When you go to school, you know what you're going to school for, but you also know how to apply it. You know where you're going to get a job. You know you can stay in the community of choice. You know you can apply those skills. That and this type of example of finding companies that's going to use that type of workforce just makes it seamless. City of Farmington's heavily involved in this as well because they've got an outdoor recreation cluster that they're building upon. In other words, they're saying if you're building things like this for the outdoor market, where else would it be better than someone like this?
Right.
So, you got three. You got Forced, you've got the college, you got the City of Farmington that's working with these folks. We helped them with some training dollars with the state for they could, train people individually for stuff that, beyond what the college does, for they could be the most productive employee they have. And they've hired folks now. They're putting people to work. They're paying wages here now. And this isn't a startup. It's what I call a gazelle. They're ready to run. They're ready to go from 5 to 10 to 15 to 20 because they've got a better mousetrap. They make an excellent product, and they've got over in excess of a year waiting list for people that want this product.
Right. Nice.
When can you make it? How fast can you get it to me? Shipping it, even internationally and all across the United States and Canada as well.
Exciting. Very cool. And so they're here at the Enterprise Center now, but they do want to maybe expand.
They do.
In the not too distant future. Is that the idea?
That's the idea because the Enterprise Center gives them a chance to grow, and it's also got some synergies as well with some of the other folks that are there. There's people there that makes wiring harnesses. There are people there that makes parts and pieces that together they can help each other grow and help grow the local economy as well.
Yeah, that's very exciting, and again, really cool, and it certainly seems to tick a lot of the boxes about our outdoor recreation and things like that. I mean, you're building these things, and if you want to test it, you just go out the back door, literally, and you can see how well they do in real world conditions.
Well, and people know when they're buying, and they see and they know the area. We're becoming known for that. We're becoming not just for the scenic beauty, but also things that interact with it and would work within it.
Right. And that's important, I think, too. And for someone in your line of work, I think that's important, too, right? To have that reputation out in the greater community for folks who are in this field, outdoor recreation and things like that, wow, here's an area that has all this buy-in from local governments and economic development organizations and things like that want to support the work that we do if we decide we want to do it there.
And there's a makerspace also in that center. And they've got at least $1 million or $2 million worth of equipment in that the companies that are there have access to do too. So if you want to design in 3D print, if you want to print out the stickers that are highlighting what you have and there's so many different assets that they have and equipment that you have access to that helps the company spin up and grow that if you were located someplace else, you just wouldn't have the ability to tap into. So for companies that are going from that startup to gazelle phase, it's a perfect place to be, and it builds upon and it speeds up the curve for them to take the next steps.
Right. And for someone, again, like you, is that important to be able to pull that out of your pocket and say, here's what we can offer you if you decide to come here and things like that?
Of course. And success breeds success as well. As more people hear about this, they're going to like, hey, I have an idea, or I have an opportunity, or I want to do something, and I think I could become that next one as well. So, that's the reason we like to share it to the folks, as to help for the next one as well.
Exactly. Very cool. And again, as you mentioned, that's what the Enterprise Center was designed to do, is to take companies like this, give them a space and support and an opportunity to kind of look before they leap in a gazelle fashion, and then be able to move on to the next big thing.
Well, they also have the support services as well. Whether you need business counseling, or you need to know how to depreciate your assets, or you need to understand your marketing strategy, or you need to tap into possibly incentives that may be offered either locally or from the state level. So that's really the beauty of this. And in this press release, it was a joint announcement between the City of Farmington, San Juan College, and Four Corners Economic Development, because collectively we make each one better, but we do different things as well.
Right. But again, and I think it's part of the uniqueness of our area to see all these entities working together for the greater good. Doesn't happen everywhere.
Well, I think we're hungry.
Yeah.
I think we
Sure.
we want to provide opportunity. We want our kids and our grandkids to have the opportunity to experience life just as they had growing up for their kids as well here.
Here, not move away.
Yeah.
And come back at Christmas. Right.
There you go.
Be here at Christmas. That's true. Put on your crystal ball, look into your crystal ball, and tell me what's ahead in 2025. Besides the legislative session, of course, but still some projects that are ongoing. Broadband, I know, is a big deal, right?
It is. You know, we just got funded for the second time. We had a $150,000 broadband grant, and we're getting another one as well for that's going to execute and be for the next year as well.
Okay.
And there's some real work, solid work that's coming out of that. We're working with some providers that want to come here in this area and provide the last mile connectivity for fiber to every home and every business.
That's a big deal.
It is. Imagine having symmetrical 500 up, 500 down service that doesn't wax and wane when depending on who's watching YouTube.
My neighbors are playing a video game.
That's right.
Yeah, right.
That's right. For very, very competitive pricing. On top of that, there's other application for economic development as well. Of course, there's the internet, but then there's also segments of the internet that are reserved for secure communications. And so if you're doing work with the Department of Defense, if you're doing work with NASA, if you're doing work in aerospace, these are things that you can access and have more control and more security in as well.
Right.
So the things we're working on in broadband not only gives connectivity and expands the connectivity and expands the options and lowers the cost for everyone here, it also gives us competitive advantages in communication to break down anything that's isolation of a region, to use it to develop what potentially could have been a weakness in the past and make it a strength or a forte for this region. When we are talking to companies, either existing or new, we can offer more. We sit down with the hospital. They do 3D imaging. These are large data sets.
Right.
It's not just an X-ray, it's a 3D. They're looking at all top, bottom, side, all of those type things.
And almost sliver by sliver almost, right?
They're right.
They can look into the different levels.
They have to not just have connectivity, but they need controlled connectivity. If you send something on the internet, it's very well going to New York, Seattle, San Francisco, maybe China. I mean, it goes around the world to go for it. And so when they're sending something between to be read by a technician in Durango, it doesn't just go from Farmington to Durango. It goes around the world to get there.
Right.
We, with these new services that we're looking at and these new service providers we're working on, who want to be here, by the way, they're going to be able to have much more control and security on their flow of information to make it much more efficient, even at a price that's less than what people are paying now. So there's real consequences that are coming from these broadband efforts that sets the stage. It's an infrastructure, just like water. It's like power. And this is the new evolution of it that's happening in partnership with the City of Farmington, with the City of Farmington Electrical Division as well, because they own many of the fiber optic cables that are here now that are not connected last mile. And there's going to be some redundancy and some additional ways in and out to even increase bandwidth and security for the region. So there's some significant things going on in broadband, and we're making real progress. So it's something I'm proud of of the organization.
Nice. And does that kind of, I don't want to use the word trickle down, but I just did, to other providers and other internet connections and things like that? So if I can only get DSL at my house now, does that mean that maybe with some of these improvements to the whole system, I may get offered higher speeds where I live if I don't live right in town type of thing?
Well, we're not stretching, Forset's not stretching cable.
No,
and we're not stretching fiber.
Understood.
But what we're doing is we've hosted a couple different companies who want to come here.
Right.
And put fiber into every household in Farmington and the surrounding communities as well. Now, it's still really hard when you got into rural areas, when you don't have the density. You know, even when you look at Bloomfield and Kirtland and those places, you have density of people, and it makes sense. Now, when you get on to tribal lands or when you get out to rural areas, that's a little different.
Sure.
But in Farmington in particular, and also the surrounding cities around it, it really makes sense to do every single house, every single business, and that's the models that are being explored.
Got it.
And I think it's faster than not, too.
Right. But if I can hook my cell phone tower to a fiber connection rather than a high-speed other connection, that may improve the service to my wireless customers.
It's all
what
the
I'm thinking.
Oh yes, there's
That's
no
what I'm
doubt,
saying.
and it's all the above.
Got it.
But now there's the evolution of broadband is getting here.
Good.
And the world is now looking at not just your NFL cities. Now they're looking at the a couple tiers down as well, saying, "Hey, listen, there's real opportunity here."
Right.
And we're really, really happy to be sharing with the world the opportunity of what Farmington and San Juan County offers, and people are listening. And we've hosted a couple in the last 3 weeks. We have 2 different companies that are very interested in making this happen as quickly as possible.
Nice. Exciting. So we can watch for that in the
Yeah.
new year.
Hopefully.
Some other things you're working on. You're working with the city of Farmington on some other initiatives too, right?
We are.
With the industrial park, I guess, right?
We are. We need components to compete for business and industry. We need the things in place for recruitment. If you say, I can build you a site, or I can put your infrastructure in, or I can build an industrial site, just give me 12 to 18 months, it's gone. So we need the parts and pieces in place for us to be able to compete. So we're working with the city, and the city's got vision about developing a 200-acre industrial park. We have vision about putting a recruitment building and filling it before we build it with a company in that park, and then doing another, and then doing another, and then doing another to help build the economy, make a bigger piece of pie for all to be able to benefit from. Those things are actively happening, and we're working towards those things with our municipal partners and also our private sector as well. We've received a grant, a $25,000 planning grant from the Mexico Economic Development Organization. The city has as well to do a master plan for an industrial park. Those are actively happening and moving forward right now. So you've got to know your dirt, you've got to know your people. We've also applied for a grant to do, when you say a study, people roll their eyes, but we want to know to the infinite level our workforce. We want to know the skills. We want to know their attributes. We want to be able to say that if anybody comes here and says they're looking for something, we can say, this is what we have, this is what they know, and this is how we can get them to where you need them to be with the college to help us train both incumbent and new workers as well.
Right.
So we're doing the work for when we can compete. Because many times when you see these opportunities, you have less than a week to respond. So if you don't know your sites, you don't know your dirt, you don't know your infrastructure, you don't know your broadband, you don't know the opportunities they have, you're not going to be standing at the end of the day. You're going to be tossed to the side. And we're learning to compete, and we're getting our work done we don't just compete, but we stand out as well.
Right. Understood. You talk about this industrial park. Is there a certain area of town that is being talked about, or is it airport adjacent, or things along that line?
Airport adjacent, 200 acres.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, there's 400 acres up there. There's some private land as well, but there's 200 acres that are owned.
Now that would be very attractive if I had a business that could have easy access to air transport in and out. There's not maybe many sites that could offer that.
And even road access. I mean, it's great. It's great access when you come off 170 and you look off 30th and those. It works.
It's that north side.
It is. It really works, and it's conducive. It fits very well. It's not going to affect the public very much, other than opportunity for people to work and hopefully live in their community and help with everything from their property values for their families to have opportunities to stay and work and be prosperous here in San Juan County and Farmington.
There you go. That's what we want.
Yeah.
So that makes sense to me. Very good. Tim Gibbs, we were out of time. This always happens to us. You get on a roll and we run out of time.
Yeah.
But that means you'll be back next month.
I'll be happy to do so.
Very good, sir. Merry Christmas to you and your family. Happy New Year. See
you
you in January.
Happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's Tim Gibbs from Four Corners Economic Development, my guest here on KSJE. KSJE and the San Juan College Native American Center present the Student Study Tip of the Week.
Hi, my name is Latoya, and I'm coming to you with the study tips of the week. Continuing from the previous points, taking breaks is important. Breaks give you a boost of productivity, resets, and prevent burnout. It might seem like you need to use all the time you possibly can to study, back to back, but your brain will start to slow down if you don't give it a chance to relax. Taking breaks can help you get the most out of your study time with the least amount of stress.
The Student Study Tip of the Week is presented by the San Juan College Native American Center and KSJE. Did you enjoy that podcast? We hope that you did. And if you did, share it with your friends. And if you really want to keep podcasts like this coming, please support KSJE. You can do it easily online at ksje.com.